one of my little sayings is, and I think it's original to me, is that businessmen by and large make lousy politicians and politicians make lousy businessmen. Look at the stock market. I mean, you could argue, and I would probably say, I think the stock markets are overvalued. Then you look at what is it they call it, the Big Eight, which are responsible for the bulk of the increase in
30% of S&P 500?
Correct. So, you think to yourself, wow. I'm not sure. I actually think, whatever Morgan Stanley's saying, I'm sure they've got very big brains and very strong and very good economists. But looking at it from the outside, I'm not convinced.
The one thing that people do say, and I don't know whether you agree with this, that people say, we're bound to have a corrections, 15, 25, maybe 30%. But, look what happened at the end of the previous century. And my thoughts of this is that the circumstances today are very different because we had a huge amount of fraud with that technology boom that started, and the Neuer market went out of business, and a certain number of other people went out of business in this country, and then you looked at things like Enron and WorldCom and all those sort of things. I think this is a different situation. I could see a correction, but I'm not certain about a violent one.
No, I don't disagree. I think there will be more chance of a correction than a further rise. But we'll see. I mean, listen, we all have to be optimists. I hope I'm wrong. First of all, there's nothing much about Donald Trump that I admire, and I certainly don't think I would have voted for him. But you have to give him credit for the fact that he did, metaphorically pick up the tree. He's shaken the tree. Now, some good things, unfortunately, have fallen out, but some actually bad things have also fallen out too. So you have to give him credit for that, to sort of shake up the establishment, shake up the current way of thinking, and change ways of working. Now, do I think what he's done on tariffs is right? Yes, I think the question he asked was right. Some of the policies that he was trying to espouse were interesting. It's gone on too long now, and it's become disruptive.
It's his game of chess, isn't it? He's moving the pieces.
Yes, but what the biggest issues for us, I think, are now globally is that we still have got dislocated economies. We have got a whole breakup of the traditional supply chains. We've got a mismatch between East and West. We have now got a situation here where inflation is still pretty rampant in the UK. It's still pretty strong in the US. The economies haven't really got moving. And yet, he's put all his money on I will get the economy going, just in the same way as the government here has said we're going to get the economy going, but it hasn't happened yet.
How much importance do you think AI, Stuart, is going to have on changing the culture of retail?
Well, it will change, and I'm quite surprised that, and I went to a conference a few months ago now, talking about the dangers of AI. I don't think it's dangerous at all. I mean, it's about change, and change is something which is about us all the time. We can't stop it happening. No. Some people hate change. Some people love change. It's true that probably 5% of the people really espouse change, and 95% of people are frightened of it. But it is here. It's inevitable. It happens. So we've just got to run with it. Now, I see AI as being a fantastic opportunity to take some of the drudgery, if you like, out of work, to do some of the tasks that we really don't like doing, to do that in a way which is probably, going to happen with less mistakes than we would human beings make, and leave us more time to be creative, to be thoughtful, to be innovative. But and that's not going to happen. AI isn't going to be innovative for you. AI isn't going to say that I can see the vision that I'm going to have to develop an iPhone or something like this.
That's a human thing, isn't it?
That's a human thing. So I think we should just espouse it and run with it.
It strikes me that the job that you had 25, 30 years ago was a much harder job than it is today. And why am I saying that? Technology, of course, marketing is so much more sophisticated. And also, the political correctness that you have to look at and the rest of it. Is that right, or do you think you just go with the flow and you learn as you go along?
Well, I'm not sure I do agree with you. I think actually today, the one thing which is time is your biggest enemy. And we're just talk about the instant news. I mean, you have to be very, very fast on your feet today. And if you just slip up for a couple of seconds, you lose the race. So probably it was easier before.
Right.
When M&S was sort of at the top of its powers 30, 40 years ago, it took a long time for people to sort of catch them up. Now, if you're not careful, you can slip on the banana skin in seconds, and you've seen what's happened to some quite well-established brands over the years for various reasons. So you've got to be pretty sharp on your feet.
The mixture of business and politics, do you feel as though politics would would do better if it had a closer relationship with business.
Better conversation.
Better conversation.
Listen, one of my little sayings is, and I think it's original to me, is that businessmen by and large make lousy politicians and politicians make lousy businessmen. And, you know, if we go back now in the last 20, 30 years in the UK, how many businessmen have successfully transitioned to politics? Not many. How many politicians? I mean, we can name two or three of them. I mean, Michael Heseltine is a good example. One of the few politicians in the last 50 years who'd had some significant business experience before he went into politics. But of course, the other thing is that when politicians businessmen go into politics, they think they can just sort of tell people what to do. It doesn't happen like that. Politics is about consensus, and it's about opinion forming, and it's about bringing people with you. And we, as a species, business people, are not used to operating like that. Inflation's fallen to 3.6%, but food inflation is continuing to go up or hanging around an uncomfortable 4-point-something%. And that's very difficult. Very difficult to deal with. But on the other hand, we've got a government tomorrow which looks like it's going to increase the national living wage. It's going to actually, it's going to put costs up on business again. Now, we've just digested £35 billion of cost in business last year. And I remember the conversation that took place when I was still chairman of Asda last year, when I had a call from the Treasury to say, how are we getting on about dealing with the economic circumstances. And I said to the guy who rang me up, I won't name him, but I said, look, you've just hit us with £140 million of extra NI costs for this business in October 2024. My financial year starts in January 2025. Where am I going to find this 140 million quid from? So I'm rather busy. I won't come and see you. And then we have to be careful that doesn't happen again, because it goes back to the point you made earlier, Michael, that the government has to understand that we only know one form of growth, and that is through capitalism. And there's no better system that people have invented. If we don't have successful businesses creating wealth and allowing themselves to be taxed so that we can reinvest that tax back into building schools and universities and roads and all the infrastructure that we need, we're going nowhere.